Europe, a Prophecy by William Blake. 5 windows light the caverned man. Through one he breathes the air, through one hears music of the spheres, through one the eternal vine flourishes that he may receive the grapes, through one can look, and see small portions of the eternal world that ever groweth. Through one himself pass out what time he please, but he will not. For stolen joys are sweet, and bread eaten in secret pleasant. So sang a fairy mocking as he sat on a streaked tulip, thinking none saw him. When he ceased I started from the trees, and caught him in my hat as boys knock down a butterfly. "How know you this?" said I. "Small sir, where did you learn this song?" Seeing himself in my possession, thus he answered me, "My master, I am yours, command me, for I must obey." "Then tell me, what is the material world, and is it dead?" He laughing answered, "I will write a book on leaves of flowers, if you will feed me on love thoughts, and give me now and then a cup of sparkling poetic fancies. So when I am tipsy, I'll sing to you to this soft lute, and show you all alive the world, when every particle of dust breathes forth its joy." I took him home in my warm bosom. As we went along wild flowers I gathered, and he showed me each eternal flower. He laughed aloud to see them whimper because they were plucked. They hovered round me like a cloud of incense. When I came into my parlour and sat down, and took my pen to write, my fairy sat upon the table and dictated Europe. Preludium. The nameless shadowy female rose from out of the breast of Orc, her snaky hair brandishing in the winds of Enitharmon, and thus her voice arose. "O mother Enitharmon, wilt thou bring forth other sons to cause my name to vanish, that my place may not be found? For I am faint with travail, like the dark cloud disburdened in the day of dismal thunder. My roots are brandished in the heavens, my fruits in earth beneath surge, foam and labour into life, first born and first consumed, consumed and consuming. Then why shouldst thou, accursed mother, bring me into life? I wrap my turban of thick clouds around my labouring head, and fold the sheety waters as a mantle round my limbs. Yet the red sun and moon and all the overflowing stars rain down prolific pains. Unwilling I look up to heaven, unwilling count the stars. Sitting in fathomless abyss of my immortal shrine, I seize their burning power and bring forth howling terrors, all-devouring fiery kings, devouring and devoured, roaming on dark and desolate mountains in forests of eternal death, shrieking in hollow trees. Ah, mother Enitharmon, stamp not with solid form this vigorous progeny of fires. I bring forth from my teeming bosom myriads of flames, and thou dost stamp them with a signet. Then they roam abroad, and leave me void as death. Ah, I am drowned in shady woe and visionary joy, and who shall bind the infinite with an eternal band, to compass it with swaddling bands, and who shall cherish it with milk and honey? I see it smile, and I roll inward, and my voice is past." She ceased, and rolled her shady clouds into the secret place. A Prophecy. The deep of winter came, what time the secret child descended through the orient gates of the eternal day. War ceased, and all the troops like shadows fled to their abodes. Then Enitharmon saw her sons and daughters rise around. Like pearly clouds they meet together in the crystal house, and Los, possessor of the moon, joyed in the peaceful night. Thus speaking, while his numerous sons shook their bright fiery wings, "Again the night is come, that strong Urthona takes his rest, and Urizen, unloosed from chains, glows like a meteor in the distant north. Stretch forth your hands, and strike the elemental strings. Awake the thunders of the deep, the shrill winds wake, till all the sons of Urizen look out and envy Los. Seize all the spirits of life, and bind their warbling joys to our loud strings. Bind all the nourishing sweets of earth, to give us bliss, that we may drink the sparkling wine of loss. And let us laugh at war, despising toil and care, because the days and nights of joy in lucky hours renew. Arise, O Orc, from thy deep den, firstborn of Enitharmon, rise, and we will crown thy head with garlands of the ruddy vine, for now thou art bound, and I may see thee in the hour of bliss, my eldest born. The horrent demon rose, surrounded with red stars of fire, whirling about in furious circles round the immortal fiend. Then Enitharmon down descended into his red light, and thus her voice rose to her children, the distant heavens reply, now comes the night of Enitharmon's joy. Who shall I call, who shall I send, that woman, lovely woman, may have dominion? Arise, O Rintra, thee I call, and Palamabron thee. Go, tell the human race that woman's love is sin, that an eternal life awaits the worms of 60 winters in an allegorical abode where existence hath never come. Forbid all joy, and from her childhood shall the little female spread nets in every secret path. My weary eyelids draw towards the evening. My bliss is yet but new. Arise, O Rintra, eldest born, second to none but Orc. O lion Rintra, raise thy fury from thy forests black. Bring Palamabron, horned priest, skipping upon the mountains, and silent Elenitria, the silver-bowed queen. Rintra, where hast thou hid thy bride? Weeps she in desert shades? Alas, my Rintra, bring the lovely jealous Ocalithron. Arise, my son, bring all thy brethren, O thou king of fire. Prince of the sun, I see thee with thy innumerable race, thick as the summer stars, but each ramping his golden mane shakes, and thine eyes rejoice because of strength, O Rintra, furious king. Enitharmon slept 1800 years. Man was a dream, the night of nature and their harps unstrung. She slept in middle of her nightly song, 1800 years, a female dream. Shadows of men in fleeting bands upon the winds divide the heavens of Europe, till Albion's angel, smitten with his own plagues, fled with his bands. The cloud bears hard on Albion's shore, filled with immortal demons of futurity. In council gather the smitten angels of Albion. The cloud bears hard upon the council house, down rushing on the heads of Albion's angels. 1 hour they lay buried beneath the ruins of that hall, but as the stars rise from the salt lake, they arise in pain, in troubled mists o'erclouded by the terrors of struggling times. In thoughts perturbed, they rose from the bright ruins, silent following the fiery king, who sought his ancient temple serpent-formed that stretches out its shady length along the island white. Round him rolled his clouds of war. Silent the angel went, along the infinite shores of Thames to golden Verulam. There stand the venerable porches that high-towering rear, their oak-surrounded pillars, formed of massy stones, uncut with tool, stones precious, such eternal in the heavens, of colours 12, few known on earth, give light in the opaque, placed in the order of the stars. When the 5 senses whelmed in deluge o'er the earth-born man, then turned the fluxile eyes into 2 stationary orbs, concentrating all things. The ever-varying spiral ascents to the heavens of heavens were bended downward, and the nostrils' golden gates shut, turned outward, barred and petrified against the infinite. Thought changed the infinite to a serpent, that which pitieth to a devouring flame, and man fled from its face and hid in forests of night. Then all the eternal forests were divided into earths, rolling in circles of space, that like an ocean rushed and overwhelmed all except this finite wall of flesh. Then was the serpent temple formed, image of infinite shut up in finite revolutions, and man became an angel, heaven a mighty circle turning, God a tyrant crowned. Now arrived the ancient guardian at the southern porch, that, planted thick with trees of blackest leaf, and in a veil obscure, enclosed the stone of night. Oblique it stood, o'erhung with purple flowers and berries red, image of that sweet south, once open to the heavens, and elevated on the human neck, now overgrown with hair and covered with a stony roof. Downward 'tis sunk, beneath the attractive north that round the feet, a raging whirlpool, draws the dizzy inquirer to his grave. Albion's angel rose upon the stone of night. He saw Urizen on the Atlantic, and his brazen book, that kings and priests had copied on earth, expanded from north to south. And the clouds and fires pale rolled round in the night of Enitharmon round Albion's cliffs and London's walls, Still Enitharmon slept. Rolling volumes of grey mist involved churches, palaces, towers, for Urizen unclasped his book, feeding his soul with pity. The youth of England hid in gloom, cursed the pained heavens, compelled into the deadly night to see the form of Albion's angel. Their parents brought them forth, and aged ignorance preaches canting on a vast rock, perceived by those senses that are closed from thought. Bleak, dark, abrupt it stands, and overshadows London city. They saw his bony feet on the rock, the flesh consumed in flames. They saw the serpent temple lifted above, shadowing the island white. They heard the voice of Albion's angel howling in flames of orc, seeking the trump of the last doom. Above the rest, the howl was heard from Westminster, louder and louder. The guardian of the secret codes forsook his ancient mansion, driven out by the flames of orc. His furred robes and false locks adhered and grew one with his flesh, and nerves and veins shot through them. With dismal torment sick, hanging upon the wind, he fled grovelling along Great George Street through the park gate. All the soldiers fled from his sight. He dragged his torments to the wilderness. Thus was the howl through Europe. For Orc rejoiced to hear the howling shadows, but Palamabron shot his lightnings trenching down his wide back, and Rintra hung with all his legions in the nether deep. Enitharmon laughed in her sleep to see, O woman's triumph! Every house a den, every man bound, the shadows are filled with spectres, and the windows wove over with curses of iron. Over the doors thou shalt not, and over the chimneys fear is written. With bands of iron round their necks fastened into the walls, the citizens in leaden gyves, the inhabitants of suburbs, walk heavy. Soft and bent are the bones of villagers. Between the clouds of Urizen, the flames of Orc roll heavy around the limbs of Albion's guardian, his flesh consuming. Howlings and hissings, shrieks and groans and voices of despair arise around him in the cloudy heavens of Albion. Furious, the red-limbed angel seized, in horror and torment, the trump of the last doom, but he could not blow the iron tube. Thrice he essayed presumptuous to awake the dead to judgment. A mighty spirit leapt from the land of Albion named Newton. He seized the trump and blowed the enormous blast. Yellow as leaves of autumn, the myriads of angelic hosts fell through the wintry skies, seeking their graves, rattling their hollow bones in howling and lamentation. Then Enitharmon woke, nor knew that she had slept, and 1800 years were fled, as if they had not been. She called her sons and daughters to the sports of night within her crystal house, and thus her song proceeds. Arise, Ithinthus, though the earthworm call, let him call in vain, till the night of holy shadows and human solitude is past. Ithinthus, queen of waters, how thou shinest in the sky! My daughter, how do I rejoice! For thy children flock around like the gay fishes on the wave, when the cold moon drinks the dew. Ithinthus, thou art sweet as comforts to my fainting soul, for now thy waters warble round the feet of Enitharmon. Manathu Vorsion, I behold thee flaming in my halls. Light of thy mother's soul, I see thy lovely eagles round. Thy golden wings are my delight, and thy flames of soft delusion. Where is my luring bird of Eden, Luther, silent love? Luther, the many-coloured bow delights upon thy wings, soft soul of flowers. Luther, sweet smiling pestilence, I see thy blushing light. Thy daughters, many changing, revolve like sweet perfumes ascending. O Luther, silken queen, where is the youthful Antimon, prince of the pearly dew? O Antimon, why wilt thou leave thy mother Enitharmon? Alone I see thee, crystal form, floating upon the bosomed air, with lineaments of gratified desire. My Antimon, the 7 churches of Luther seek thy love. I hear the soft Uthun in Enitharmon's tents. Why wilt thou give up woman's secrecy, my melancholy child? Between 2 moments bliss is ripe. O Theotormon, robbed of joy, I see thy salt tears flow down the steps of my crystal house. Sotha and Thiralatha, secret dwellers of dreamful caves, arise and please the horrent fiend with your melodious songs. Still all your thunders golden-hoofed and bind your horses black. Orc, smile upon my children, smile, son of my afflictions. Arise, O Orc, and give our mountains joy of thy red light. She ceased, for all were forth at sport beneath the solemn moon, waking the stars of Urizen with their immortal songs. That nature felt through all her pores the enormous revelry, till morning oped the eastern gate. Then everyone fled to his station, and Enitharmon wept. But terrible Orc, when he beheld the morning in the east, shot from the heights of Enitharmon, and in the vineyards of red France appeared the light of his fury. The sun glowed fiery red, the furious terrors flew around, on golden chariots raging, with red wheels dropping with blood. The lions lash their wrathful tails, the tigers couch upon the prey and suck the ruddy tide, and Enitharmon groans and cries in anguish and dismay. Then Los arose, his head he reared in snaky thunders clad, and with a cry that shook all nature to the utmost pole called, all his sons too, the strife of blood.